All right. Well, first off, let me just welcome everybody here that's tuning in to our live conference call with Jack Baldwin, driver of the GT Sport Racing Porsche Cayman, sponsored by Reset MD, StockTech, Motul, and Goldcrest, also supporting that car. Jack, you there, bud?
Oh, right here, man. Right here.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all of the Rennlist members here. I'm up to 71 people logged in and listening right now. So, first off, before we even start, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Jack? For those of you that, if you don't know who Jack Baldwin is, you should. But if you don't, let's just give us a little synopsis about who you are.
Who is Jack Baldwin? Well, that's a good question. Been racing my entire life. I've driven about everything but Indy cars. I've won 5 championships and about 37 races, pro races. A lot more than that on other, but just pro races. That's the short version. Currently running in Pirelli World Challenge, driving, as Jeff said, the number 73 Reset MD Cayman S, and for GT Sport Racing, loving it. This is our 3rd year of competition. We've taken the Cayman from basically an idea that the Cayman could be a great race car. It's a wonderful street car, and taking it to pro level competition. And I think I was the first one to win a professional race in the Cayman, Long Beach. But hey, we're having fun with it, and we're about halfway through this season, and looking forward to the second half.
Well, we'll go ahead and open the floor right now. If anybody wants to just go ahead and chime in and ask Jack any questions you might have on your mind, go for it.
Jack, this is Dave. Question for you is, how were you able to make the jump from amateur racing to pro racing?
That's a good question, Dave. That was always my plan from the beginning, was to be a pro racer. So, how was I able to do it?
If I could be more specific about my question.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Did you have to knock on doors? Did someone approach you from a pro team? Cold call people? How was it that that first pro ride arrived?
All the above. All the above. You mentioned, you said it. All the above. And today, honestly, money is even more important, because you have to ask yourself this question. Okay, who's going to pay for this? And what I mean by who's going to pay for it, when you see a race team, or when you think about doing whatever you want to do, think about what does it cost to do that, and the fuel, the hotels, the entries, the tires, the brakes, the blah, blah, the list is long, right? So you think about who's going to pay for that, and so somebody's got to pay for it, and so to get a chance as a driver, I wanted to be a pro racer, so a pro driver. It was tough. It took 15 years. For me, I was a U.S. champion in 1972, and U.S. Formula 4 champion. So I thought, okay, good. Well, I've proved that I've got what it takes, right? But I didn't have any money. And it took 15 years to get a break. So, how bad's your desire? How much do you believe in it? And how hard do you want to work for it? But at the same time, understand something, that, you can have just as much fun and fulfillment and enjoyment in amateur racing as you can in pro racing. So, you have to decide what you want to do. What do you want to accomplish? Are you doing it because you love it? Are you doing it for fun? Are you trying to make a living? Making a living in pro racing is very difficult. Having fun in racing is not as difficult. So, a lot of guys, I think, try to set their goal a little high, and they struggle with it. Or they could just bring it down a notch and enjoy life and you know, really have a good time racing and you know, doing that part of their life that they really love to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and it's kind of what people, you know, you kind of think it might be. It seems like it might be harder today than it was maybe in your time.
It is harder today because the money is it's because the cost has gone up. I mean, I run a race team, GT Sport Racing. I'm the guy who runs the team. So on the weekends, I'm the driver. Come Monday morning, I change hats, put another hat on. I run the team. So I look at the numbers and have the budgets and stuff like this. The cost of doing it, the cost of doing what I need to do, just the cost of getting it done, just to get it done is unbelievable. I mean, just if you're like, okay, I don't want any frills. I don't want any. I just want to do the basics. I just want to get the job done. What is it going to cost me? And the number will choke a horse. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, it's like, okay, I don't want to pay the hotels and the fuel, and I mean, we're $4 a gallon to go down the highway. You know, it's like, hello, and so yeah, it's expensive. So you know, you're back to that. Who's going to pay for this? And it's hard. I'm not a rich guy. So you have to respect that. And you know, I mean, and honestly, you got to know what you're doing, but it's all about the money. And if you've got the money, then you need to find somebody that'll work with you and you know, to help you, guide you through the maze of you know, how you get it done. You know,
in today's world, would you say every driver, or most every driver, has to show up with sponsors to help pay for the bills?
Well, we're back to that first question: who's going to pay for it? And the first thing that's, when you walk into a shop that's got a winning operation, they're going to say, if they have a sponsor, then they need a driver, right? So that, in that case, it's a little different. They control the sponsor. They've got the money to do it. They need a driver to keep their product up, to value their product. But for the most part, if you're going to walk into a shop, and here's the cold reality, and this is, it wasn't like this maybe 10 years ago or 7 years ago in NASCAR, but it is that way now. And it's like that way everywhere. When you walk in the door, you can be the world's greatest driver, but if you don't walk in with money in your hand, you haven't answered the question. And the question is, who's going to pay for this?
Right.
So if you come to me as GT Sport Racing, I'm very capable of producing a winning effort and producing, you know, putting a car underneath anyone that could win, right? There's other teams that can do it too. But that costs money, and the question is, who's going to pay for that? You know? So to answer your question, absolutely. Walking in with money in your pocket is the key. Now, once you walk in with the money in your pocket, that gives you the opportunity. Okay, that gives you the opportunity to but how much talent do you have? You know, what kind of guy are you? You know, and there's a lot to that. You know, it's sort of like, you know, maybe you like to play football, but are you really capable of playing NFL ball? You know?
Right.
That type of thing. But, yeah, the key to it is the money. The key is the money. The money will give you the opportunity. So I hope that answered you. I hope that was a good answer to the question.
I appreciate your time, and I don't want to dominate the conversation. I have one more, though. Go ahead. You've raced a lot of series. Would you say the talent level in those series significantly varies over the years that you've seen, or has it gotten better in the last 10 years than it was before that? How would you rate the talent level in the World Challenge Series back in IMSA, Trans Am. Do you see a significant difference between now and then? And
well, it's a good question. The equipment has changed. The cars have changed. Everything's gotten a lot more high tech. But if you go back to say the early days of Trans Am, early days meaning in the 90s, the early 90s of Trans Am, that was some pretty strong competition. Okay, so is it any better now? I don't think it's any better now. I think it's the same. I think the equipment has changed. I think the competition at the top in PWC, Pirelli World Challenge, is really good, excellent. I know how hard we worked to try to win, and believe me, it's all out there. So I think that the quality of the effort of the teams and the drivers in every sanctioning body at the top level is really, really good. I look at our effort and I go, what would I change if I went to a different series? If I went to, say, Tudor or Rolex, and I ran there for years. I wouldn't. I think the team we have now is probably one of the best teams that I've ever been a part of. Really. And when I go on the line, we're all out there. I mean, there is nothing. I don't leave anything behind. So if it's and that's what it takes to win. And it's hard to win. It's very hard to win. So really, I mean, at the top, I mean, if you go all the way across, I mean, you take NASCAR and you take IndyCar, the top pro classes, Tudor and the Pirelli World Challenge. It's very difficult. I think the equipment's gotten better, but I think the drivers, the drivers are good. The drivers are really good. But it's all in perspective. I mean, back in the day, I mean, A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti and Jackie Stewart and those guys, and they were pretty good too.
Yep. Well, thanks for your time, Jack. I appreciate it. I'll sit back and listen. Thank you.
Okay. All right, buddy. Good talking to you.
Thank you. Actually leads me to a question, Jack. We got a question from Lee in Phoenix, Arizona, who wrote his question in here. It says, what kind of racing that you did was the toughest?
The toughest. Honestly, it would either be the Trans Am back in the 90s, in those years, or now with Pirelli World Challenge. I think this is pretty tough.
Now, is it tough from you as a driver physically, or is you're saying it's tough to be able to be at that top level?
To get it done at the top level, as a physically, I mean, as far as toughness, as a driver, let's go back 20 years when they didn't have good cooling, good driver suits, insulation. I mean, I raced for 3 hours in a car where the inside temperature in the car was 150 degrees, where the shoes melted on every race, and my gloves burned off my hands. And back in those days, I mean, you just had to suck it up. We didn't have all these luxuries like you have now. A lot of these young kids, it's like I say, hey, you know what? Quit whining, drive the car. But you don't know what hot is. But as far as competition is concerned, because of the technology now, and I think that Pirelli World Challenge has some of the top teams as far as being able to function at such a high level. I know what we go through to really get it right. It's a 50-minute race from a dead stop. I mean, you can't leave anything behind. So I think that I'm loving it. It's great, but as far as tough, this is as tough as it's ever been. It's great. right now.
Well, thank you for that. We do have a lot of listeners on there. If anybody would like to just chime in, feel free to ask Mr. Jack Baldwin a question anytime.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. A couple questions ago, you had alluded to teamwork and how important it is. Is your new role now as a team owner? What are the important factors to consider when you're selecting your crew and your team?
Well, I'll tell you what the role as a team owner does for me. When I was a driver, when I was a pure driver, when I drove for Buzz, let's say, my teammate now, who drives a 72 car, Buzz McCall, I just drove the car. I never thought about it. I just got in the car and drove the car. I never thought about the money. I never thought about what it cost. I never, whatever. Now, as my role as a team owner, I'm involved with, sponsors and sponsors in a different way. Before, I was a driver, and it was just sponsors as far as, being good as a sponsor, doing my part. But as a team owner and being involved with the budget, I'm involved with, paying the bills. What does it cost? I mean, now when the car, hits the wall, or when we have damage or we have problems, we blow an engine, I'm sitting there going, oh, geez, 15, 20,000, 17, you know what I mean? Like this. Where before, it was like, oh, we blew the motor. Oh, well, we got a spare? And now I know what everything costs. So it does change a little bit. It changes your perception. Now, in the car, does it change the way I drive the car? No, not really. It really doesn't. I might have a little more respect for the equipment, because I have to pay for the equipment. But and to be totally honest, I have to work at that. And because I write the checks, I actually write the checks and pay the bills, I have a lot of respect for what it takes to make it happen. So, I guess when we do good, I'm even more pleased that of our accomplishment. And when things don't go our way, I guess the stress factor goes up a little bit too, Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I was wondering, too.
I wear two hats. And I still can do that well. On the weekends, I'm a driver. But during the week, I'm a team owner.
And we have a couple of 303 area codes, 240, 917. Anybody feel free to jump on in and ask any questions. I got another list of questions here. Actually, I do have a question. It looks like it's from Tom in Bayshore, Texas. Wants to know, was there anybody that you considered better than you?
Yeah. I think that, honestly, there's a lot of drivers, a lot of really, really good drivers. I think that, let me just talk about what I think is the best driver that I ever came up on and had to race against. And I've raced against everybody at one point or another. But I'd say the best driver I ever raced against was Scott Pruitt. I would say he's the best, That's just how I'd rank it. I think on any given day, we were all capable of winning the race. But I always felt like Scott had something that the rest of us didn't. It was a little something. Some guys were good at qualifying. Some guys were, good at racing. Some guys were, different. The guys could do different things. But at the end of the day, I felt like there was two guys that I thought were a little bit magic in racing that I've raced against. The number one guy was Dale Earnhardt Sr. Absolutely magic, unbelievable, talent God-given. Way out there. And Scott Pruitt. Scott Pruitt was, and it still is. I think I respect those guys a lot. Now, there's a whole list of drivers that I respect, really. But those are the two that, that I raced against, and that I can comment on, you know.
Perfect. Any questions to add to that for anybody? Feel free to just chime right in. It is an open conference call, so you can chime right in and talk anytime.
Speaking of, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of Dale Earnhardt, going back to your IROC experience, would you say that the cars were evenly matched in that series?
They were pretty evenly matched, actually. You know, they worked. Jay Signori and his team worked really hard to get them even, so that they could get the show that they wanted to. You know, they needed a pack, and a pack is what they got. You know, which was why I knew Dale and we were friends, but I could never figure out why he could do what he could do. You know, it's like, why could you? And I went to Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace and those guys, and I said, so what's the story? So what's the deal? And they go, we don't know. You know, we don't know. You could. I mean, my first race at Daytona in IROC, I realized that there was all these great drivers, and then there was one guy that was better than all the rest of them, and that was Dale. And that's when I went to him and asked him, you know, what's the story? They didn't. They said, hey, we wish we knew. So yeah, he was a really special guy. And the interesting thing is, he was really amazing on the track, but he was even more amazing and more special off the track. So, you know, it was an honor to know him and call him a friend.
What cars did he drive during those 2 years you rated?
We were Dodges. We were doing those Dodges, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks easy. You know, on TV, you know, it looks easy. They're going around. Remember, if you watched it in those days?
Yep.
It looked easy. And I thought, before I got there, I was like, this is easy. I mean, I'm driving my ass off in road racing and Trans Am and stuff. This is going to be easy. Look at them cars. They just go around the track. It's like nothing to it. Bullshit. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was not. It was like, man, you know. So, yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks. I'll tell you that right now. It takes a real special skill to do what those guys do.
Thanks, Jack.
Yep.
Let me look here and see if I have a question for us here. Here's a question. It comes from Luana in Clearwater, Florida. How did you get into racing?
Well, I was born and raised in Tampa, Florida, and would not.
This is Clearwater, Florida call. That works great.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's 12 miles away or something like that, but across the causeway, as they say. You know, as a kid, I always wanted to race cars. I mean, you know, I went to Sunshine Dragway, Twin City, and Tampa Dragway. I was a drag racer as a kid. I always wanted to race. So what got me into it was, I don't know. I just always wanted to race cars. So that's the number one question I get, you know, where did it come from? You know, and honestly, I don't know. No, it was there in the beginning, and it's still there. Every day, loving it. Get up, want to go to the track. I love going to the racetrack. I mean, I wonder when I'm going to get tired of going to the racetrack. And I can say right now, not yet, you know, because I can't wait to get to Toronto. I cannot wait to get to Toronto and get in that car and go out there and kick some butt, because that's what we're going to do, by the way. To all y'all listening out there, we're going to kick butt in Toronto. I'm telling you right now. It's going to happen.
Speaking of that, I do have a question here from, it looks like it's Gerald in, I can't even say that name in Canada, I'm sorry, but it says, do you prefer street tracks or road courses?
That's a good question. I like street courses. They're really challenging, but it's like, do I like one over the other? Okay, how can you not love going to Road America? How can you not love going to, Mid-Ohio or, Mossport or places we go, Sears Point? How can you not? So I don't dislike street courses. I rise to the challenge of a street course, but I relish the opportunity to race at world-class racetracks, and, there is, I hope that answers the question. I mean, my favorite track, I don't know. My favorite track is probably Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, but then again, Road America is wonderful. We've got some great tracks in this country, and the good news is Porsche Pirelli World Challenge runs at most of them, so that's a cool thing.
Feel free if anybody wants to jump in and ask them a call. Like I said, once again, this is an open conference call, so if anybody has any questions or just wants to say something to Jack, feel free to go ahead and jump on in.
In what way has age changed your driving experience?
Well, I've thought about that.
60s.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, and I've actually looked at a lot of the younger guys and said, I guess it's not supposed to be this way, But I think for me, age has, here's the deal. You don't lose your skill. You don't lose your skill as you get older. If you have skill, you don't lose it. If you're healthy and in shape, you lose durability, okay? So in my case, I'm in pretty good shape. PWC races are 50 minutes long, not a problem, okay? And so that's where I see the difference. Now, the other part of it is I think that maybe you lose a little bit in qualifying, because as you get older, you're better at it, and your calculations are a little different. I wreck less cars, okay, because I take a better calculated risk than a young guy. So, but as far as, speed and my level of skill, it's still there. I don't know how it is with everybody else, but for me, I can still put it on the pole and I can still get it done. So, and that's really at the end of the day, that's what you got to do. So, when you say, well, a lot of guys tend to give up, that's what I see. A lot of guys tend to give up. They say, well, I can't do it because I'm 50 or I can't do it because I'm 60. Well, are you saying you just can't give up? You can't do it because you can't do it, or are you just giving up? That's, I can still do it. So, and I think everybody's a little different. But, like I said, you don't lose your skill, you lose your durability. And, I've got enough durability to get the job done. So, I don't want to get in a position where I have to fire myself. So I work hard at it. Yeah, I've got a lot of fans. Let me just talk on that a little bit. I've got a lot of people rooting me on because of my age, because maybe I'm showing people that, hey, you know what? I don't have to throw in the towel at some predetermined age, Maybe you don't. I don't think you should, I think you should keep doing what you love doing as long as you can do it.
Can you elaborate on what you were saying about how your qualifying has changed?
Well, on qualifying, I think that I'm more calculated in qualifying. I'm less likely to just take a risk that I don't know the outcome, okay? I know I'm going to make it, okay? I know I'm going to, for the, you know, my skill level is very high. I know, I can feel the grip. I'm old school. And I'm trained old school, so I've learned to feel the grip. And I know when the grip's there, and I know when to go. So I know when it's time, and I don't know if the younger guys have learned that. I don't know if they use that. It's an old, you know, back in the day, if you think about it, AJ and Mario and I'm just naming some names here, but there's a lot of guys, Rutherfords and Unsers and those guys. They race sprint cars, Indy cars, and stock cars. They race a lot of different cars. There was no technology back in those days. So how did they do it? How did they jump out of one car and jump into the other? Seat of their pants. They learned to feel the grip. And so, you know, that was a taste that I acquired through my career. And I'm not a big data guy. I mean, it's funny. I mean, everybody's in there, you know, the younger guys are in there looking at data, looking at analyzing their laps, and I don't even do that. I don't need to. I know where I know where I can pick up, and I know where you know, I'll usually say to my guy, hey, tell me if it's better. Am I better to use third or second gear? And in this particular corner, is it better to go through in 7,000 in second, or, you know, 6,000 in third, or 5,500 in third, whatever? And so, you know, whereas maybe when you're younger, you're braver. You don't know the outcome. You're willing to throw it out there. You know, I know I crashed more when I was younger than I do now. Thank goodness. So I think that as you develop your skill and you get older, you know, you put that to good use. And where a young guy, maybe he's trying really hard to prove something, and will throw it out there, and maybe throw it out there at the wrong time when things aren't right, and pay the price for it. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Now, in raw, just bravery, you know, the last tenth of a second, there's a little bit of youth and exuberance that'll, if you can get away with it, you know, it'll pay off. You know, I've not seen that in Pirelli World Challenge so far. I think I'm holding the young. I think I'm holding my own with some of the best drivers out there, Andy Lee and Lawson and Mark Wilkins and Nick Janssen. Those guys are as good as they get. I think I hold my own against them, you know. So, you know, I don't know. It's kind of, I hate to say I'm a unique case, but, you know, I do believe in that, in feeling the grip. I don't know how many guys learned that back in the day, you know.
So, Jack, what was the most favorite car out of all the cars you've ever raced?
The Riley and Scott Mark 6C that I drove for George Robinson with a Judd engine. I loved it. It was called a Riley and Scott Mark 6C Judd. It was with the carbon brakes and the paddle shifters. About 2001. Awesome car. Loved it. Other than that, it would be the Hot Wheels Camaro and the car that I'm driving now, the Cayman. The Cayman's an awesome car. Awesome. My little Cayman is just like amazing. I'd love to let everybody drive it, but I won't. You know?
So you brought up a Hot Wheels. I have a question here from my Danita in California, who wants to know how many Hot Wheels models were there of your cars?
54. The number one selling, I understand from the major collectors, it was the number one selling Hot Wheels of all time, and the Hot Wheels Camaro was the number one selling car, and they did 54 different versions of the car. of Jack Baldwin's Hot Wheel car. My operations guy on the team, my operations manager, Michael Shanes, is a huge Hot Wheels collector. So, and I get this information from him because he knows, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Michael said he has somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 Hot Wheel cars. By the way, so
yeah,
he's a collector. He is a collector.
Michael's the real deal. Yeah, Michael is absolutely the real deal. And years ago, I would go to conventions. I would be invited to national conventions, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, these conventions. I mean, yeah. I had no idea what I was walking in on. you know, these people are not a lot of nice people. A lot of. I've signed autographs for days, and a lot of really good people. So I appreciated those years and those opportunities, and we brought a joy to a lot of people. It was great. Loved it. You know, so.
And once again, folks, this is just a full open conference call. Any questions? We've been over half an hour now, so if there's any other questions at all, we go ahead and hop right in.
Talking about the Cayman, how much support do you get from Porsche on developing that?
Not enough. No, we haven't had a lot of support from Cayman. I mean, from Porsche for the Cayman up to now. We're hoping to change our relationship a little bit moving forward. But what you see and the progress you see with GT Sport and our effort is mainly from us, honestly. It's been a rough road. It's been satisfying. It's not been easy. But I feel like we've been very successful and proven that the car is more than capable of winning at a pro level. So, you know, I don't think Porsche realized or considered the car to run at this level. You know, when they built that car, it was never intended to go to the track, so the spec was boulevard. It was a boulevard car. And we kind of worked together and showed that, you know, they built a really good mid-engine car that had capabilities that they hadn't really considered and thought about. So, you know, at this point, I'm at kind of the end of the road where we've gone about as far as we can go with a Gen 2 car. So we're really looking forward to the Gen 3 and the next chapter in the relationship with Porsche. And I think it'll be different. I really think that moving forward, you'll see a different positioning from Porsche. You know, I just think things will be different moving forward, and I'm looking forward to that.
And we'll open the floor one more time for any further questions at all.
Jack, are most of the cars that you're facing in front of you, are they factory cars? Or cars that have factory backing?
The cars that I race against at Pirelli World Challenge, yes, they're all factory back cars. The cars that I have to beat they've got support from the manufacturer, you know, definitely. And that makes my job, or our job, just that much more difficult, you know. But at the same time, we have a really good little car. We've come a long way with this car, so, you know, it's to me, it's like when we do win or when we do beat them, it's very satisfying because I know how much effort they're putting into beating me or us, you know. So I think we drive them crazy sometimes. I think they can't believe it, you know. So the little Cayman does really well, you know.
Well, Jack, I know there's a lot of supporters that you have that help your racing program there. Who are some of those sponsors that some of the other Rennlist members can, help support and get product from or help out?
Well, I mean, we've got a great team. I mean, GT Sport Racing is a team, and it's like you say, Jeff. It involves a group of people. We've got some. I've got a great sponsor, Reset MD, sports injury program we work with really to keep athletes at their peak level, and not just athletes, but just everybody. I had a procedure done a couple of weeks ago on my lower back, and it's amazing. My lower back feels fantastic. I love it. And then we've got some great technical partners, and Stop Tech's been with me from the beginning, and I got to tell you, in the 3 years that we've been running this Cayman, we've never had to stop and deal with the brakes. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care how good your car is. If you can't stop it, the whole program comes to a screeching halt right now until you can fix that. So we never had that. We never had that distraction. So my brakes they started out good and they just got better. And so I love Stop Tech. They've done great for us. And the oil, I don't worry about. It's Motul. I was looking for something better when we started. I reached out to Motul. My engine builder, when an engine builder calls you and says, what kind of oil do you run this thing? And I go, Motul. And he goes, wow, yeah, this stuff's really good. That's pretty good. I like that. And then, of course, Goldcrest Motorsports, one of the best Porsche teams in the country, here in Atlanta, about 20 minutes from the house here. And we have a strategic partnership, and we've proven to be a pretty good team. So, I'm pretty proud of what we have. I think everybody on the team is proud of being a part of the team, and we love being in the Pirelli World Challenge Series. We think that's the place to be. We think it's the future, and I can't say enough about what we have, where we are, and every day I get up and I work as hard as I can to make today a better day. And I think everybody on my team does the same thing, and not my team. Our team does the same thing. So I feel blessed and I feel very fortunate, and I'm glad I got a chance to answer your questions and talk to you on the phone. And please, when at the racetrack, come up, just walk right up, say hello. I love everybody that's involved in the fans, and it's all good to me. It's my life. It's what I do.
Well, thank you so much, Jack, and thank you to all of our Rennlist members for calling in here today, and anybody else that called in that wasn't part of Rennlist. But we appreciate all those Porsche listeners and viewers at Rennlist.com. If you're not a member of Rennlist, make sure you join now. Thank you so much to Jack Baldwin. Just to give you some stats for everybody that's listening for Jack Baldwin, he's going to be celebrating his 250th professional race. Out of that, he's gotten 35 wins, 100 podiums, 27 pole positions, 22 fast laps, 5 championships, a podium percentage rate of 39.7%. The guy is truly a myth, a legend. Jack Baldwin, the Reset MD, Motul, Stop Tech, GTS Sport, Goldcrest, Porsche Cayman S. Jack, personally level, I'm going to bring all 23 of my Hot Wheel models to the racetrack to have you sign. But once again, thank you so much for joining us on this call. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we can do that with Rennlist here in a couple of months, and we'll be celebrating a championship in a couple of months through Rennlist too. That'd be cool.
That would be absolutely cool. We're working really hard for that, Jeff, and I appreciate all the kind words, and everybody out there that was listening tonight, and Rennlist, and all the Porsche guys. I love you guys. Hopefully I can bring a championship. So anyway, great. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.